So can I do this whole thing? So right here in the studio, we have the Yankees game on. They're down 4-0, if you're wondering. I know probably a lot of you were cheering me saying this. So if the torpedo bats win them games, can they also lose them games too? Can I make that excuse? I'm not going to, but I want to. Nevertheless, we are live. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. I am your host, Blake Ruffino. This is Are You Serious Sports? Hope all of you are making it a good one. We know that we are as well. Very quickly, tonight we are going to talk about the preview that is the LSU versus Oklahoma series. We've already, in very, very deep detail, already have broken that series down. This is what you want to do. If you want deep detail, so when we come out of the break, I'm going to give you 4 key points of what LSU's got to do this weekend to win the series. But if you want a very, very lucrative breakdown, you need to go to our YouTube channel. First off, you need to subscribe and hit the notification bell so when content gets produced and content's out there that you can listen to it. There's always new stuff out there. We were at our good friends over at Service Hawk Digital Media today, and we broke that series down in a lot of different details. A 30-minute segment about it. Go over there and listen to it. I still will give you 4 key points on what LSU's got to do. Start off with tomorrow, which we will be live in the postgame tomorrow. I am missing T-ball practice for the game tomorrow. Sacrifices were made. Now, I will never miss a game. No. Games will not be missed. But practices sometimes will need to be sacrificed. I think my wife can hold it down. She's knowledgeable about these situations. But we'll be live in the postgame, so I'll give you those 4 big keys to the weekend victory. I was asked, and, well, he's already back in here with another super chat. Our good friend Jackie Harris with a $5 super chat. Jackie, I told you I was going to do it. We are here. But Jackie says, Portal Talk Wednesday, popcorn emoji, y'all better listen up. Jackie wanted a deep dive into what I think about what LSU needs to do in the portal, what I think and what sourcing is telling me that LSU will do. So we'll take 2 different sides of this, my opinion versus what I actually think that they will do. So we'll take both approaches there, but we will get into some football talk the first time in a week. The first real time in a week we're talking football. I don't know if we've ever gone a week without really talking about football. This week we have, and we'll get into a portal deep dive here on what I think LSU should do and what they actually will probably do. At 7:35, our good friend Carter the Power Bryant will join us as well. And we'll break down all things LSU football, and I'm sure we'll talk some women's basketball and men's basketball. We'll just probably talk about everything. So our good buddy who normally joins us on Mondays, Carter Bryant, will be joining us at 7:35. Looking forward to that. Aaron Miller says Rendon struggling with command. Yeah, I mean, story of his life. And it's not easy that Gallen is absolutely shoving against you right now, right? I mean, it's not worthy. Spectrum Wellcare says Blake must have loved the Nussmeier video released by LSU today. Why wouldn't I have liked it? I didn't mind it. I told you the last 2 videos what was coming out of it, and y'all think I'm batshit crazy. I know a lot of Spectrum. I know a lot of people believe that I'm crazy as hell. Told you. I didn't mind the Garrett. I actually like listening to the mic'd up situation with Garrett because it got me inside of his brain a little bit more. I wish there was more of that I can listen to what he's seeing, what he's throwing. You know, he even made fun of his steps. Made fun of his steps, but made fun of himself about not knowing how to count. You know, like small stuff like that you go through in practice. Nothing. I love that stuff. Guys, Spectrum, I do not hate or loathe Garrett Nussmeier. It's not true. I mean, I've called out Michael Van Buren just as much on the show as well. Spectrum, well, I say as much, but he hadn't been there as long. You said the offense was goofing off too much. Were they not? I mean, come on. Carvis says, did I miss anything? Not to my knowledge, Carvis. You did not miss anything. Not to my knowledge. Not yet, at least. We will get to that portal deep dive. What I think and offense. Yeah, it looks like the offense is cocky already. Better calm down. I mean, because there's nothing that they did with the first unit. There's a reason that they did individual drills. Once they got into team drills, shit wasn't happening. And we'll talk about that in great detail tonight. All right. Let's get moving here. We got lots to get to. Everybody do us a favor by hitting the like and sharing. Thank you to Jackie Harris yet again for the Super Chat. Thank you so much, Jackie. We'll get to this right now. We'll get to the break. We'll come back, break some 4 points down very quickly. Again, go to the videos on YouTube or video on YouTube with over our good friends over at Service Hawk Digital. We break that series down in great detail. I'll give you 4 quick points. We'll go into a portal deep dive, and then we'll have Carter Bryant in here. So we got a big show for you. Everybody do us a favor already. Everyone do us a favor by hitting the like and share. Share to all those groups if you're on Facebook and to all those social media pages. You're watching us, listening to us on YouTube. Like, subscribe, notification bell, and wherever you listen to podcasts, rate, review, and subscribe. Let me get to a quick break. When we come back, we got lots to discuss. Stay with us. BetOnline is the fastest and easiest way for you to wager on all of your favorite sports, contests, events with the first-to-market odds and lines. Find reviews for all the news for each league, including Major League Baseball, NFL, NBA, NHL, combat sports, college sports, esports, and even golf. BetOnline continues to be the top online resource for all of your sports information for live in-game betting, props, and futures. Head on over to BetOnline today and use your mobile device to join and make your first sports bet. Use our promo code BELIEVE50, that's BELIEVE50, BLEAV 50, to receive your 50% off welcome bonus on your first deposit. That's betonline.ag, betonline.ag.
He will sell your house and find you a new. Well, Tyler's the man, he's here for you. If you want to buy or sell, well, it's not too late. Dial 955-0008. Just call 955-0008. Y'all call Tyler, he'll shoot you straight.
Guys, you might know my good friend Carol Falls and all the great service that he provides over at State Farm. He is your good neighbor after all. But did you know State Farm has surprisingly great rates as well? Along with the great neighbor service, State Farm agent Carol Falls has surprisingly great rates for everyone inside the state of Louisiana. So call him today at 985-395-4300, 985-395-4300 for all of those surprisingly great rates on auto, home, and life insurance needs. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there, and individual premiums will vary by customer. All applicants subject to the State Farm underwriting requirements. Have y'all seen the photos that Livy Dunn and Paul Skeens have taken? Have y'all seen this? Have y'all seen that they did a photo shoot together? Power couple, man. Power couple. I mean, they say that all men are created equally. Somebody forgot to tell Paul Skeens that. That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying. I'm not going into great detail, but Paul Skeens, who signed this lovely helmet for you, boy, that's in our studio right here. Yeah, power couple. The Major League Baseball put out the Pirates pick up a big win in style on, and it's a picture of Livy Dunn and Paul Skeens. Dude is living the life, man. Living the life. But even though he's highly talented, he's also a very hard worker. Speaking of baseball, let's get to this. So, as I mentioned just a second ago, and for anybody who just misses the intro and then just comes back in here for whatever reason, or you didn't hear us beforehand, we did a very big deep dive into this Oklahoma LSU series. Go over to our videos on YouTube to listen to the whole thing. There are 4 key points in case you just listened to the live show and you didn't listen to the video that we need to get to. Number 1, this weekend is very crucial for LSU on the mound for a lot of different reasons. Now, well, Blake, duh, of course it is. This Oklahoma team arguably is going to be, and maybe arguably is, the most athletic team that you will face all year. Now, not the most power, not the most talent, the most athletic by far. Guys, when this Oklahoma team gets on base, they are going to get moving. They are going to get moving on the base paths. They're going to steal. They have, I think, of their top 7 guys in their lineup, they have close to a combined or right at 50 steal attempts. It's absolutely insane how many times when they get on base, they are literally going to put the pressure on. They're going to play small ball. Now, not necessarily a team in the SEC through 3 weekends that has shown that they can run the ball out of the park consistently. Maybe win a game, maybe once. But consistently, they have not been able to do that. But, man, they're going to take a lot of pitches. When they get on first, they're going to steal. They're going to fake steal. They'll delay steal. They'll bunt. They'll bunt with 2 strikes. They will put so much pressure on you to make the right play defensively and to make the right pitch that if you're not on point, throwing strikes, doing different things on the mound. And let me stop right there. The guys on the mound will control this running game. I am nervous, for what it's worth, about Luis Hernandez if he's in a situation of throwing guys out that steal. There's multiple guys in this lineup. Trey Gamble, one of them. Let's see what his health status is. I have no clue. But, he's 8 for 8 on the year. They have a guy that's 9 for 9 on the year. They have a guy that's 11 of 15 on the year in stolen bases. They will get moving. You got to slide step. You got to do big kick legs. You got to, every single thing that you can do to manage the running game, this pitching staff has got to do. Because if you allow Oklahoma, even though they lost a series a week ago, guys, they didn't hit worth a dog shit last week in most instances against Alabama. Now, they lost the series, but the problem is they came storming back in every game because they would get to the bullpen, they would take a lot of pitches, and they would put so much pressure on you defensively that if you just are not making the right plays at the right times in the right situations, that is how they will beat you. They're Kentucky on steroids from a couple of years ago. Remember that 23 Kentucky team? They get on base, they steal. They scored 9 runs on you on Paul Skeen's game, or was it 8 runs? I forget. Nothing flashy about it. They will play small. They will perfect small ball against your ass and put a lot of pressure on you. I am nervous about their running game and their athleticism. You go out to Norman and start playing around with them and not throwing strikes, you're going to be in trouble. That's number 1. Number 2, I mentioned this just a second ago. No free passes, but I'm really interested to see what Jay Johnson does at third base this week from a defensive standpoint. The amount of times that this team will lay down a sacrifice if someone's on first is immense. Tanner Reeves has not been bad, but Michael Braswell's been better defensively at third. But you're taking a big bout out of the lineup when Tanner Reeves is out. Regardless of what Jay Johnson does, regardless of the whole situation, one thing is utterly apparent. Guys, defensively, if you are not on your A game this weekend, now that's not saying you can't win a game with your B plus or even your B defensive game. If you are not at your A plus, you will lose the game because the amount of times that this team puts the ball in play, the few amount of strikeouts that they have in certain situations, guys, the amount of pitches that they see. Guys, they're one of the best teams in the SEC in walks. They're also one of the worst teams in strikeouts, but that's a little inflated in reference to just because they're trying to get the pitch count so highly up. They're going to make you throw strikes. Man, they're going to put the ball on the ground, and they're going to make you make great throws to beat them out. They have speed. They have some serious, serious speed. So, defensively, in the infield, and even in the outfield, just overall as a team, I love LSU defensively. I don't think that they have a problem there. But it's just something that, hey, man, you have a team that wants to put that much pressure on you. How do you perform under pressure in this situation is going to be a big question mark. LSU's been fine there. They haven't done anything really bad defensively. But defensively, how do you stand out? Number 3, I think you need to play to what they do too. You got to ride their pitch count up. Now, listen, you have really 2 good arms that come out of the bullpen for you, and Zach Cowan and Kason Evans. Guys, they have 2 really strong and really freaking good arms that will come out of the bullpen this weekend. They have the Witherspoon brothers that you'll probably see on Thursday and Saturday, however they want to mix it up. I have no clue. I do think you'll see Kyson Witherspoon on the elite ace in the SEC. You will see him in game 1. But even in that, guys, tomorrow night, you're probably going to see arguably the best arm in the SEC. And before I say that, like, that's my overall take, that's Major League Baseball's draft big boards take. So regardless, you're going to face against a really good pitching staff. You know, I talked about this. A lot of Major League Baseball guys, especially left-handers, go to Oklahoma for their pitching staff and their head coach for fundamental work for pitching stuff, pickoff moves, how to really control your off-speed stuff. This pitching staff has been a little – I don't want to say they've been, like, bad in moments. They've been hittable. But, guys, they have 2 really good arms out of the bullpen. You got to see a lot of pitches this weekend, too. You got to rev that pitch count up. Now, there have been some situations where a couple of their starters have batting averages against, like, right at 300 or above. But Kyson Witherspoon does not. I mean, guys are not hitting over 200 on him. He has really locked some guys down. He hasn't given up many home runs. I think 2 on the year in 39 innings pitched. He's got 39 innings pitched with over almost 70 Ks. Because he's averaging around 2 strikeouts an inning. That's how good he's been. That's how good he's been. So I think you're in for an outright dogfight tomorrow. I think you're in for a dogfight against a middle-of-the-pack right now SEC team. I predicted that LSU would win the series 2-1. I do think Oklahoma's a regional team. I think that they're going to get to a regional. Hell, they can even go to a regional and upset somebody. They are that talented. Outside of Texas, this is the second best team that you faced all year, and they're athletic as hell. First time you went on the road, it didn't go your way. And it's going to be interesting to see you going up to Norman again and are going on the road again for the first time to Norman and seeing how you perform. They're a solid club, man. I think people look at Oklahoma and just say, oh, man, we should go out there and beat the shit out of them. Guys, this is a team 2 years ago that was in the College World Series. They were in the finals of the College World Series. Was it 2 or 3? It was actually 3 years ago when they played Ole Miss. Guys, they're a few runs away from winning a national title a couple of years ago. That's how good that they've been. All in all, I would say with the Witherspoon brothers and just the overall athleticism, I think that you can punch your way out of it later in the series. But, man, you're in for a dogfight. Now, you took Pico Khan, who might be the best overall arm. I mean, whether him or Witherspoon. But you got on Pico Khan early. You better get on these Witherspoon brothers early, because if you don't, well, it's going to be a long weekend. I think you should win. I think that, you go you're 9-3 after 12 games. I said this today. This is the last point before we move on to the big portal talk here. You're 9-3 in 12 games in SEC play. Guys, you're getting dangerously close to, like, confirming that you're going to host a regional. I mean, I know that you would have probably 8 more games in the league that you would have to win, but guys, you're halfway through the season now. You're getting dangerously close from no matter what happens that you're going to be in postseason play. And by no means do I think that LSU should ever be in a situation where they're not hosting a regional. Ever. But, man, I mean, you got to take these series, because here coming up, you'll have Arkansas, you'll have Tennessee, you got Auburn next weekend. You got Alabama in a couple of weekends. Then you have South Carolina. This is a team you should go up there and beat, and you really much need to. All right. Let's move on here. Again, just in case you missed it, go to our YouTube channel. We post a more in-depth preview on LSU and Oklahoma. So the other day, I was asked by Jackie Harris, and I'll just he sent in a super chat again tonight. So Jackie on Monday said, Blake, can we do a deep dive on the portal and what LSU could be doing in the spring and what you think LSU should be doing in the spring? So this is what we're going to do. And I told Jackie on Monday that today would be the day, Wednesday would be the day that, look, give me a couple days. Let me take notes. Let me jot this down. Let me have some days to think about it. And we come back on Wednesday and we talk about it. So the spring transfer portal period is not far away, and I want to talk about it. And I want to talk about some things that I think that LSU needs to go after. And if there is a good enough player that they believe that can play at LSU that they need to go after. Now, some of these we've talked about a lot. Guys, since January, since the end of the season, there have been a lot of positions that we've talked about. I'm going to actually throw some in that I personally would want to see LSU to go after in the transfer portal. But let's start off here. Guys, without a doubt, my opinion is that the number one position that LSU themselves, without my opinion or not, that they're going to target is if a defensive lineman or specifically a defensive tackle goes into the portal. I think LSU needs to, and they more than likely will, go after a defensive tackle in the portal. I do not believe, for what it's worth, from what I've seen this spring and from what we saw a year ago from Don McKinley and Ahmad Bro, that they are fully ready to take and be everyday starters, every down starters. LSU would try to go out in the portal a year ago and try to go after DTs to validify that position group. I think they're going to go do it again. This time, they have better resources and better money to go out there and spend that amount of money so that they could potentially lock down one of these defensive tackles. It is my opinion that I agree, and I see the need at DT, that they need to bring somebody in here. I think that they may have hit with Sadir Mitchell for what it's worth, and that's a really good pickup. The guy's been really good so far this spring. He's been very hard to move. LSU has not been able to run on them this spring, especially inside. They have not been able to do it. Is that a microcosm of Sadir Mitchell, or is it that the interior offensive line that we'll talk about next really needs to be better? I think it's a mixture of both. What I have seen, though, is I don't think that Don McKinley is fully ready. At least he's not fully ready that you're coming out of spring. And listen, let's say Don McKinley, we get into August and he's had a really good offseason. He's gotten bigger and stronger and faster and he's lost some baby weight, whatever. Let's say all of that happens. Based off of what I have personally seen through this spring portal period, or this spring period, I don't think that you've been great there. I think you've been good. I don't think that you are at the level that you probably could be at and probably should be at. Now, at edge, guys, you're done there. I even think that there might be one, maybe even two guys at edge that see the writing on the wall that they might not play here, and they might be hitting the road, if I'm being blunt. Like, I don't know what Kalaj Commons does. I don't know what C.J. Jackson does. Quite honestly, guys, I don't know what Jamari Butler does, because at the current moment, I don't know how much Jamari Butler plays, if I'm being honest. At defensive tackle, you do not have a set of starters right now. I think Sadir Mitchell, who's not an every down defensive tackle, guys, Sadir Mitchell's not rushing the passer. He's a one-trick pony. That is to plug up holes in the running game. You need somebody that can do both. And I have not seen that from Don McKinley, and I have not seen that enough from Ahmad Bro. So my opinion is that they need to go after that in the portal. And I think that they will. Actually, I feel very confident that they're going to attempt to do that. The second one is offensive line. Guys, you're not ready there. I do not care. Now, what's interesting is I had somebody bring to my attention not even bring to my attention. They asked me a question. Like, hey, man, Brad Davis is recruited really well, and Miles Frazier and Emory Jones and Will Campbell have been really good off seasons without Brad Davis being around. This offensive line has struggled. Because this interior offensive line isn't that great right now. They're not. I mean, I don't know how there could be a discussion between Brian Kelly, Joe Sloan, Cortez Hankton, Frank Wilson, and Brad Davis, and Alex Atkins, for what it's worth. He's an O-line coach in his own right, even though he's at tight ends for us. I don't know how there can be a conversation where they can look at this spring and based off of me being at practices, me seeing these mini scrimmages, even if they go into a spring scrimmage or a spring practice period that we'll have in a couple of weeks here, I have no idea, unless they come back out of this spring breakish, this break that they have, and they're so much better. I don't know how this discussion's not had that, listen, man, if there's an offensive lineman that goes in there, we need to go get him. We need to go get him. Now, can Josh Thompson, how do they view Josh Thompson, the transfer out of Northwestern? That's a great question. They put him at right tackle on day one. They put Carius Kern at left tackle on day one. Neither one of them. Guys, we have guards playing tackle on second team. So, number one, I do think you need probably an interior player if you're going to leave Carius Kern at left tackle, even though I don't think that they will. Or if you've had to move a very athletic guard to tackle, then you probably need a tackle in the portal. From at minimum a depth perspective piece. At minimum. Guys, the truth is that if there's a guard and a starting guard that wants to test the waters in the portal, I'm going to get him. I'm going to get him. You just have not been good there. I don't know what else to say. I don't know what else to say about that position. I don't think Cohen Eccles is ready. I don't think Paul Mabenga is ready. I don't think DJ Chester is – I'm not going to say he's not ready. I don't know if DJ Chester, without really good guard play next to him, if he stays at center, or he can move to guard. I don't know if you've been good enough there yet. Now, I will say this about the interior offensive line for what it's worth. They've been better as an overall unit, snap, burst, snap, when Braylon Moore's been at center and when DJ Chester's been at left guard or right guard. They've been better. I don't think DJ's a right guard. I think he's more of a left guard, and the difference is the right guard is more on the run side of what you want to do with things in the running game. They've been better there. Maybe they can figure some things out. They'll have a long all season to figure it out, but if there's one, I would go after. I do think LSU, for what it's worth, with the offensive line, they may go after tackle, but I do think that they'll be very cautious on who they go after there. Number 3, safety. Here's the truth. Grab every single one of them. Guys, I really do feel as if without Deshaun Spears that you need to throw shit at the wall at safety and see what sticks. So Jackie, as we mentioned in here, said that, Blake, can you do a deep dive about portal? Yeah, here's my take on what you should do at safety. Throw as much shit at the wall and pray to God that you hit on somebody. Guys, you ain't good there right now. Blake Baker went out to the media and said, Javen Toviano's had a good offseason. Where? I mean, I know that he's trying to talk a player up. He ain't had no good offseason. He's made a couple of plays because he knows the play, and he's breaking off on routes before the receiver even breaks off on his own route. Toviano has already made the move. Last 2 weeks ago, Bauer Sharp ran an out route. And literally, Toviano had a PBU, but in that PBU, he was breaking towards the sidelines before Bauer Sharp even broke on his out route. He knew what was coming. He's not going to know that in games. The safety position has not taken a step forward outside of Deshaun Spears since the bowl game. They haven't. Guys, you got to go. You better go get a safety. As God is my witness, I see Carvis in the chat. I'd rather live with Toviano. No, you wouldn't. Carvis, no, you wouldn't. Y'all go ahead and mess around if you want to. You might want to do that something if you want to. Let me bring this up. Will Duke says, damn, do you think that might be able to find something positive? That you might be able to find something positive? Here's the thing. I got asked to go and break down what we need in the portal. Guys, you don't go in the portal for positions during spring if you don't have a problem. Guys, the reason that LSU went so heavy in the portal last year was because they had a problem. Will, I don't mean this in a disrespectful way at all to you, right? I don't mean this in a disrespectful way to this comment. Oh, well, you better, can you find anything positive? I don't even see as, why do you go in the portal? Why did you try to go in the portal in the spring period? Because you weren't good enough. Y'all think I'm being negative. You know what? This is so funny. Y'all said that same shit a year ago. A year ago, y'all said when during spring, Blake hates Garrett. He just hates Garrett. He doesn't like his ass. He don't, for whatever reason, that son of a bitch, all he is he's a negative son of a bitch. That's it. How'd that shit work out for you? Let me look, this can sound conceited and cocky as AF. I'm telling you, I know what I'm saying. It's not that difficult, guys. I'm telling you. I'm telling you, Carvis, you're convincing yourself that safety is working. It's not working, buddy. Don't convince yourself, oh, he can do this. He can lock down slot fades. They're not going to run slot fades on you. Look, that's the last position I'm going to bring up. I would still even go after a running back that can get you tough yardage. Those are the three positions that if they go in the portal in spring, I go after. All right. I don't understand this logic. You had issues with the 2019 team. You know what? You had damn near no issues with that offense. It was the best offense of all time. Brother, Joe Burrow, Jamar Chase, and Justin Jefferson aren't walking through that door. What are y'all trying to justify? Y'all call me negative because I'm not coming up out here pumping sunshine up your asshole. That's the truth. Y'all are mad at me. Y'all are mad at me because I'm not pumping sunshine up your ass. Well, you better find another show because I ain't going to pump sunshine up your ass. I'm going to pump what the truth is. And pumping up your asshole? I probably should have said pause. All right. Carter Bryant joins us next. Stay with us.
BetOnline is the fastest and easiest way for you to wager on all of your favorite sports, contests, events with the first-to-market odds and lines. Find reviews for all the news for each league, including Major League Baseball, NFL, NBA, NHL, combat sports, college sports, esports, and even golf. BetOnline continues to be the top online resource for all of your sports information for live in-game betting, props, and futures. Head on over to BetOnline today and use your mobile device to join and make your first sports bet. Use our promo code BELIEVE50, that's BELIEVE50, BLEAV 50, to receive your 50% off welcome bonus on your first deposit. That's betonline.ag, betonline.ag.
We're back.
Carter, the Power Bryant. Good evening, good sir. How are you?
What's up, Blake freaking Ruffino, on a hump day, giving the people the cold, hard freaking truth? You can't be doing this. And I think the problem, Mr. Ruffino,
Yes.
is that they're not used to your face being skinny.
You think that that's it?
Yeah, they're used to seeing some rooster flappage while you spit out your hot takes. You're getting too fit for the people. That's why I don't like. That's why I don't like the harsh truth.
Well, see, they're mad at me. They're mad at me because I wore an Ohio State shirt to the gym. They're pretty pissed off at me. I don't know if you saw this.
That was when you were big, though, right?
No, the Ohio State shirt I wore when I was skinny. But see,
what was that? Wait, what's that about?
Well, maybe in my own way, I was sending signals to the fan base that Blaine Bradford was committing.
I can say that you were on top of that. I can. We had a discussion about that.
We did have a discussion, but see, you know what? Blake don't know shit. You know, I mean, like Blake's just crazy. To the first point, we'll get to Blaine Bradford in just a moment.
Yeah.
Carter, I was asked by Jackie Harris on Monday. I wanted some time to think about this. Blake, where do you think they need to go in the portal? And I would just ask you, Carter. I mean, like, listen, I feel like I have to have this discussion every year. There are multiple people in here again saying you're being too negative. I feel like I'm keeping it real with you. But see, here's the problem. Carter, for me, I said the same shit a year ago, right? Like I said the same shit a year ago about Garrett's turning the ball over too much. You can't run the football. The defensive line in the interior, I don't think is good enough. Safety, I did not think was good enough. And instead of like, well, Blake, you're just too negative. The problem that I find myself in again is that me saying the same exact kind of stuff that I did last offseason, and then I come out here and it's like, Blake, you're too negative. Well, I told you it was a problem a year ago, and you call me crazy. So fat Blake, skinny Blake, don't really matter what Blake it is. Yeah, I mean, I feel like I'm telling you the truth. Carter, they have not moved Sadir Mitchell all spring. He's been immovable. And by the way, he is not the best interior defensive lineman in the SEC. That currently goes to Caleb Banks out of Florida. I will put all of my money on that, okay, at the current moment. So my whole thing is, Carter, he's not the best in your – like, he might be the best on your team. He's not the best in the conference. Like, we got to think about that. By the way, you face a premier interior defensive tackle in Peter Woods week 1. So, like, I'm thinking about all those things. But when we talk about the portal and the spring about to open up, I mean, what do you believe? What do you think that they should do?
Yeah, I'm with you. I think Clemson's really good as far as that is concerned, but we'll have plenty of time to talk about that before that rolls around. I'm with you on Sadir Mitchell. I believe in transfers, Blake, that had a lot of traffic ahead of them when it comes to their playing time at the school that they once were at. And Texas had probably the best defensive tackle rotation in the SEC this past season, and Alfred Collins would get drafted pretty high, and that's why Mitchell couldn't play. And he went up against those guys in practice. A really good Texas offensive line. They probably had the best offensive line in the SEC last year. Underrated center as well, but Mitchell comes in and I'm with you. I've heard great things. I'm a believer. I'm also just a believer in just mass. He's a big dude. He's the biggest guy in that room. So I'm with you on that. But Blake, I think one thing people lose sight of is with LSU last season, it was a solid season for the Tigers, but a lot of your big wins were fortunate wins, right? That South Carolina game was a post-game win probability heavily in favor of South Carolina. The Ole Miss game, a post-game analytical win probability heavily in favor of Ole Miss. So earlier today, some of my PHL viewers know this because I streamed a little bit earlier today. Like I met with a big analytical company that consults with teams, and I did a 1-hour call with them. And I've been able to look at a lot of their data that they provide a lot of teams throughout college football. And they give a lot of these numbers out. And the funny thing is there were some numbers. Look, the defense did take a step forward in the right direction, but there were some numbers where we were still 2023 LSU defense-esque. And that's a problem.
Interior defensive line, interior offensive line.
Yeah. And that was
wrong. Was that the big standout? What was the big standout number-wise?
Yeah. The big thing to me, and it's a kind of complicated stat, it's kind of hard to chart as well, is rush yards before contact, meaning how many yards does a running back run before he actually gets touched? And we were actually worse in that department than what we were in 2023. So what does that mean? Well, it means two things. Number one, a guy like Sadir Mitchell will help you out a lot because it's just harder to move that human being. But if you go look at the runs, all right, once again, this isn't just analytics. You can go look for the film. It's not hard. You don't need to know what a 4-eye technique is or any shit like that. Just go back and watch the explosive runs that LSU gave up last season. How many of them were untouched? A lot. A whole hell of a lot.
South Carolina, both of them were.
Yes. And it's not just the touch. I mean, they gave up a lot of wide open gash lane runs in that game.
Mm-hmm.
Ole Miss had a big one in the middle of that
from
game.
Ulysses S. Bentley IV, the law firm, the 50-yarder. Right.
Yeah, the former president. And then Alabama, the runs are basically the same. Milroe was untouched on this. So the thing is, and I won't go too deep into it, there were some improvements that they made. The numbers that I looked at showed that LSU did become a better tackling team, outside of Sage Ryan, of course. But they did get better at actually bringing ball carriers down. 2023 was bad at rush yards before contact and bad at actually tackling. But 2024, there were still those issues. Now, here's a good thing, is a guy like Jack Pyburn is going to help you out because
I agree.
He's a better run stuffing in than anything that you had last year.
And they might be borderline elite there, Carter. I fully believe that.
Yeah.
I've said that multiple times. I think they're borderline elite there.
Yeah, and the other side of it as well, Blake, is if you do start stopping the run, let's just say you are a better overall run.
You're a playoff team.
You are a playoff team, but what can happen is the other team will throw on you, and you got to have a secondary that can hold up against it. I do think the LSU secondary will be better.
I do too.
I do think some of the bright spots of the LSU secondary last year weren't as good as some people would like to think. So what I mean by that is a guy, let's just say Zy Alexander, who's very experienced and had some really good games, also had some really, really, really bad games. I understand it's a mystery box, but I think it is in the realm of possibility that DJ Pickett is better than that guy in year one. I think
I'm with you there.
Yeah. And I don't like to put too much on.
He's definitely just overall more talented. Experience-wise, he's not going to have it. But, they posted this. Did you see the DJ Pickett, Barry and Brown rep?
Yeah.
I mean, we were there. We were there for the full practice. I told you on the call back to my house, we just talked about practice. I was like, dude, he got roasted on a post route, and how he gained yardage back, I don't know. Look, for what it's worth, I'm telling you I know what I'm seeing here on this. LSU at edge, massive upgrade. And I say that because Braden Swinson was really good a year ago. Like, he was very good a year ago. But Savion Jones was not necessarily great. I mean, Gabe Rutherford's emergence, Patrick Payton, I mean, dude, he tracked down from the backside Caden Durham. So everybody from Florida State told me, like, hey, dude, this guy's effort sucks. And I'm like, this dude's tracking running backs down in a spring practice. And by the way, Jack Pyburn, you better buckle up. You better buckle up. I think they can be better in the running game. The problem is, I saw Weston Davis take on Don McKinley 2 straight days, a Wednesday and Saturday, in one-on-one run blocking drills. Dominated Don McKinley. Dominated. Twice. I saw Ahmad Bro get his helmet ripped off, and everybody's like, oh, he won the rep. No, the guard stopped. Like, you literally see Palma Banga stopping during the rep. That's not a good rep by Ahmad Bro. It just isn't. Now, Sadir Mitchell, again, has not been moved. But, Carter, in every SEC loss, every one of them, like, people make me feel like I'm crazy. I know that I'm not. Under BK, they're allowing 257 rushing yards per loss. Translation, you're getting your ass whooped. But I do think at edge, you have definitely developed that, and I think they're going after DT in the portal. But to your point, you bring up an interesting point, brother. All right, now this DB room, well, let me not say DB room. Let's not talk about DB room because safety has still been very bad. Besides Deshaun Spears, the corner room, shit. Mansour Delane might be the best cover corner that you've had in quite a minute. He reminds me of the smart player like Jared Bernard Converse. Like, even if he gets beat, he knows what you're doing, so he's going to recorrect himself.
Yeah, here's one weird thing about Delane. So, he said in an interview that part of why he wanted to come to LSU is because of the practices. And, you're going up against like SEC competition, and he knows the wide receiver room is going to be really good. The funny thing about that, though, Blake, and you cover all of college football, I started my NFL draft prep. I really pick it up in April. Obviously, it's a month of the draft. I don't think people realize how many elite offensive players were in the ACC last year. Like, it is unreal how many of those guys are going to get drafted really, really, really high. So, like Mansour Delane, Virginia Tech has 2 wide receivers that are going to get drafted. We don't have 2 wide receivers that are going to get drafted next year. So Jacoby Lane was a beast.
You don't think Kyron Lacey's a first rounder?
I wish he was, but he's not. And number 9, who had the Hail Mary catch versus, what's his name? He's a beast run blocker. I forget his name. So he went up against 2 NFL wide receivers every day in practice. And then in the ACC, that was as loaded of a conference offensively as anybody in all of college football last season. That's who Delane went up against every week. The offensive talent was ridiculous. The wide receivers were absolutely ridiculous. And he went up against those guys for a couple of seasons. So not all those guys were just 1-year transfer portal rentals. You had to go up against Xavier Restrepo and Cam Ward and tackle Damian Martinez and Elijah Arroyo, who's going to get drafted. That was all on one team. Syracuse was arguably as loaded as they were.
Oh, dude, that Pena kid from Syracuse is a dog.
Right.
Syracuse was actually silently loaded at receiver and tight end.
Yeah, Gatson and all those guys.
Yeah.
So
Fran Brown, what up?
Yeah, I mean, the ACC, and I understand that,
defensively, they were just so shit, though.
Right. But for Delane, he went up against these guys and held his own and won quite a few of these matchups. Even Virginia has always had good receivers, but and that gives me more hope that Mansour Delane will make a clean transition to the SEC and really help out the secondary.
Let me transition here. We brought up me wearing a shirt in the post that I had and had Ohio State. Again, messages being sent. Nobody wants to, nobody catches it. It is what it is. Caught a big blow on Monday for LSU. Now, I understand that people are like, oh, it's not over with, and you can still bring Blaine Bradford back, which you can. And look, I fully expect LSU to make their moves. I fully expect to do whatever they got to do. But it's going to cost you more now. It just is. I mean, listen, man, the kid came out in an article and said that he had a better relationship with Ryan Day than anybody on LSU staff. The kid literally is 7 miles away from your campus. That in and of itself cannot happen. It cannot happen. I mean, it's the bottom line. Blaine Bradford committing to Ohio State. What do you think?
Yeah, as good as the Keys announcement was, this really hurts. I mean, it does. And look, safety play is the talk of the show. It's going to kind of be the same as it was for defensive tackle last year. But I keep going back to the college football playoff. All those teams had really good safety plays, safety play, and some of those teams that were in the playoff had safeties go down, like Texas, and they still had elite safety play guys that
Kumba was the best safety in the SEC. I don't care what anybody tells me.
It's such an important position because of how offenses work now. So many quarterbacks, the first thing you do is read the overhang. So that's oftentimes not a safety. Sometimes it is. But you got to have guys that can just do it all. And LSU's had the opposite of that. At the bare minimum, you got to have guys that could do the basic things, and LSU's really struggled with that. So Bradford is a 5-star safety, and those guys normally translate pretty well to the next level. So, yeah, it hurts. Obviously, I don't ever get too excited or angry about any high school commitment, but I'm disappointed to say the least.
Well, you better be. I mean, you got to be. Like, it is an excuse. So here was my, like, LSU fans. There have been many of them. Like, one of them I got in a dispute with on Facebook. He's like, "You're going to eat your words," because I posted a video of like, "Hey, man, that just cannot happen." And the dude was like, "You're going to eat your words, Blake. You're going to eat your words. He's going to flip." I'm like, "What words did I say?" I said that he can't commit to an out-of-state school. No, he can't. I mean, like, brother, this isn't Jamar Chase committing to Kansas. This isn't Jamar Chase committing to Florida. This is a kid committing to Ohio State, which, by the way, their director of player personnel, guess where he's from? Guess where he's from?
I don't know.
Louisiana.
Okay.
You remember how he was at Alabama before he went to Ohio State. Remember Devonta Smith?
Yeah, Amy, the barbershop.
We got Justin Jefferson and Jamar Chase. Yeah, that dude still went on to win a Heisman and is a really good NFL wide receiver. Like, are we going to act like he's not? Like, the dude has gotten dudes, like, literally over the year. Christian Harris, would you have not taken Christian Harris over Jacob Phillips in some of those situations?
Yeah,
damn well you would have.
Yeah, one thing I'll add to that, Blake, is historically in the early 2010s, some of the elite guys that got out of Louisiana, they ended up not hurting LSU, but more recently, the top 100-ish guys that do lead the state, they've been a little bit bigger of a loss, if you will.
No doubt.
Yeah, Jacoby Matthews, obviously, Derek Williams, those guys saw.
Bro, Derek Williams beat out the best safety in the country.
Yeah.
And got hurt. If he didn't get hurt, I mean, that's the thing, man. Here's the thing that really hurts. If this would let me just say it like this. If this would have been a receiver, I would have been like, this sucks. Yeah. You got a shitload of these kids that you bring in every year. I mean, like, somebody's gonna pop off. Safety, you can't, like, it's Carter. 2 weeks ago, I did a whole segment on this. You better not lose Aiden Hall from Carr, which they haven't lost him. But you sure as shit better not lose Blaine Bradford.
Yeah. They're different players too. Like Hall is
100%. 100%.
Yeah, and because Carvis, who I respect, Carvis and I become really good friends. Hall, more so plays like the slot, and they move him all around. Bradford, if you watch him, he's a safety. That's what he does.
Yeah, I mean, listen. The only reason I say you can't lose both of them is because they'll be better at safety, strong safety, than anything that you probably have right now not named Deshaun Spears. Yeah, that is a truth. Like, here's the truth. If Blaine Bradford were to skip his senior year and go to college, there's a strong chance that he'd be starting for you this season. That's how bad you've been there.
Yeah.
Joe, bro, Javian Toviano is not your answer right now. He's not the answer. I'm telling you, he's not. I mean, he's getting beat to the edge And he knows that a running play is coming in spring football.
Yeah, and one thing is and this is my big concern. If I was in the building, this is what I would say is last year you made this mistake thinking that a guy that has not given you good tape for multiple seasons at the program would magically turn into an SEC reliable starter. You did that with two different guys. You did it with Major Burns, you did it with Sage Ryan, and it cost you. It just did. Now, if one of those guys would have worked out, you're probably a one-win better team at the very least. But both of them were disasters. They were downright utter disasters. And it's difficult to have those conversations, but that's where you are. And Blake, I had a very good grade on JV Toviano coming in. It's just not been the answer. It's just not been. And some of it is because they've moved him around, and true freshman, he had to play corner and then move him at nickel. And now you're trying to make him, full-time safety. Some of that has been the issue. Obviously, you don't have Ron Cooper back there coaching him or Nick Saban or someone like that.
No,
but
you got Jake Olson.
Yeah, and he's a young coach. It's still very early in his career. So it's –
well, and I don't even blame Jake Olson about what happened at safety with Major Burns.
It's not –
that's not his fault, I mean, name a recruit that he's brought in. That would be the question that I ask. I mean, the safeties that you got this year did not get recruited by him. Like Chase Thomas, who committed on this show, by the way.
Yeah.
I mean, if we need to have a conversation about who his lead recruiter was, I mean, he's a running backs coach.
Yeah.
I mean, like, what are we talking about? So again, look, call me negative all you want to. You can't miss a kid. Ryan Day has a better relationship with a kid 7 miles away from you. That is atrocious. The kid literally said, I have a better relationship with Ryan Day than anyone on LSU staff. Like, Carter, let me ask you this question. We wouldn't allow Ed to get away with that shit. We wouldn't allow any other coach ever to get away with that shit. Never. Just because it's the NIL. And by the way, they didn't beat you on an NIL basis. They beat you on a relationship basis, which pisses me off even more. That's the part that pisses me off more is I know for a fact they beat you on a relationship basis. The head coach did. Now, I'm not blaming Bryant Kelly on that. I mean, sometimes you feel like an in-state kid that there's so many people that are recruiting him that, like, how could you have missed the ball? But, Carter, that cannot happen, brother. I mean, like, regardless if you flip him in November, which here's just the truth. I'm going to be optimistic. I still think they flip him. I really still think that, like, a kid like that, you'll do whatever you got to do because of how bad the position has been. It's going to cost you now. And Ohio State's got you in a position where that, look, there's a chance because of TV revenue and NIL, you might now have to overpay for a high school kid because you messed up in the beginning. So here's another truth. You're literally now having to overpay because of your mess up in the beginning of it.
Yeah. Well, my future boss, Brian Kelly, he is going to fix this.
Your future boss?
I look, here's
what do you mean by that?
Oh, I applied for an LSU. I applied for the LSU analyst job that opened. I went for it, and you got to. You should apply too.
Oh man, I didn't know that. Congratulations.
Yeah,
I'm not applying for it.
You're not? Okay. Well, there you go. I put my hat in the ring because look, this is what I do every day. I look at this stuff every day. You do the same thing. And look, here's my thing. Can Curriell or Dickinson play safety?
Oh.
I mean, maybe they could. But how tall is Curriell? Is he like 6'3"?
Yeah, but brother, he's like 165, 170. So no.
So who would we need? Stanfield? Well, he's probably more of a
Stanfield's more of a corner.
Let
me think.
Is there anybody that's a safety body?
Not
yeah, they're kind of a slender team. They don't have that Leon Landry They don't have that.
No, they don't have the Chad Jones.
Well, yeah. Well,
Chad Jones Jr. That's who needs to play.
yeah.
There is a kid on the team named David Hogg that I think is a good enough athlete that he could do it. No, there's nobody, not at safety. I mean, I think Bear Jones could play defensive line for you though.
How much does he weigh?
Probably 245, 240, 245. I don't give a shit. Bro, he will he's like Pyburn. But by the way, look, I told a source this week, okay, that's out there at every LSU practice. Dude, Jack Pyburn is the most impressive human being that I've seen on this team in quite some time. Now, listen to this.
Whoa.
Yes, defensively.
Whoa, no, come on, dude. That's too hot of a take.
No,
I agree, and I love Jack Pyburn. You freaking do. But
defensively, there's been
time in quite some time.
You know why? Because there's absolutely nobody on your team defensively, even in 2022, when the going got tough, that will punch you in your shit. Nobody. Name one.
Well, Swinson was great. And Braden Swinson on.
No, not like this. Swinson, no, not like this. This is different.
So you're saying right now that you believe Jack Pyburn's gonna have a better year than Braden Swinson?
No, no, not.
But you're saying just from a mentality standpoint.
From a I think his mentality standpoint brings more of an edge for you than any sack that Braden Swinson had a year ago.
Oh, I'm a Swinson guy.
Fantastic player. Carter, you take a rep off at edge and see what happens. You go right, go ahead. I've seen it with my own eyeballs now. Dude will he'll take his helmet off and he'll throw hands. He don't give a flying fuck. He does not care. All right. Name a dude that's brought that mentality. Here's the thing. What are the positions that we complain about? Interior offensive line, defensive tackle, and safety. And maybe running back to some extent. What do all of them have in common? Physicality. You got to be physical. Go ahead and mess up and you're going to watch what happens. This from a leadership standpoint will change your team more than anything else. I promise you.
I'm with you. I'm a big.
You know what? I got Patrick Payton on the other side. I don't need him to do that. What I need him to do is look at Don McKinley in the face and say, "Hey, brother, that don't fly here." Bro, you should hear this dude chirp at practice. Bro, he got a tackle for loss a week ago, and he popped up and literally, he absolutely fantastic play. And he goes, "What y'all think this shit? What y'all running at me for?" He's yelling at the coaching staff saying, "What the fuck you running at me for? Y'all want to get some reps in, you better go the opposite way." He's all in their shit. This kid don't give a damn. All right, y'all going to go ahead and mess around if you want to. That dude's going to bust your ass up. You watch.
I do like
that with my own eyeballs.
I do like he's wearing number 44, baby.
Oh, he going to bust somebody up. He going to punch somebody in the mouth. Listen, if the aliens come down and I know somebody I need on the front lines to go and fight them, Jack Pyburn would be one of the first calls I make. You think I'm not joking?
I know you're not. Here's the thing that excites me about Jack is he's never had a chance to play a full-time defensive end role.
No,
So he was mostly healthy last year, and he played 200 fewer snaps than Savion Jones did.
Thick neck.
So, yeah.
Pause.
I was the one that retweeted your tweet about him saying he got a thick neck, dude. That's what you need. Thickness is what wins in the SEC. The best SEC football players of all time were thick guys. Almost all of them. Alabama's had a lot of good running backs. Who were the ones that won the Heisman?
Say that again now. I thought we had – say that again.
Alabama's had a lot of good running backs. Who were the ones that won the Heisman?
Mark Ingram, Derrick Henry.
Thick dudes. Got to have
yeah, and look, I even think in the portal you need a Noah Cain.
Oh, Noah. Or how about this? Okay, do you want to know something that's interesting?
You need a run in between the tackles and you need a physical back.
Okay, so You know, one guy that is surging behind the scenes on draft boards, and he's way under the radar.
Josh Williams.
Okay, so Josh Williams has gotten some love after that 40 in the vertical. Explosive athlete. But one guy that has made some headway, who is also a thick running back, Corey Kiner.
Yeah, out of Cincinnati, former LSU guy.
And had some production as a true freshman.
He runs so stiff, though, man. God, he's so stiff.
And he doesn't have any breakaway burst, but thick, man. He would end up being a good back.
Let me throw this your way. Do you think that they need a running back?
Yes. Yeah,
I do too.
100,000%.
Let me ask. Can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
Do you think that too much is on Frank Wilson's plate?
Yeah, if it means so him being the recruiting director, he's doing a lot of the heavy.
I feel like he's doing everything. Like,
yeah. I mean,
look, go ahead.
Okay, so full disclosure, I've never met Frank before. I've met his family, got to know his family a few years. I sat next to him at the SEC championship game, and they talked to me about how much recruiting he actually does.
Dude, right? It's insane. He recruits more positions than anybody.
Yeah, and that's the weird thing is like a lot of his legacy is recruiting guys that didn't even play running back. You know, most famously Tyrann Mathieu, but still he does a lot of that. And then you factor in, you know,
he locked down your top two recruits, and Rich Anderson and Aiden Hall.
Right, and neither of them play running
or
back.
at his position.
Right.
I mean, if you want to be blunt. If we want to be blunt, I mean, Harold Perkins does not come here without Frank. Like, it does not happen.
Yeah. And one final thing, Blake, is I do think they're banking on right or look, I've not really heard this one way or the other. You might have, but it's just simple logic that there is a lot of pressure on Caleb Jackson to come back.
Oh, man, he's got to have a big year. Golly.
And if he doesn't, you're in a tough spot. And there's a lot of question marks on that room. Okay. Obviously, Caden Durham has elite potential to take even another step. And he has great work ethic and was in the middle of a nasty transfer portal rumor that wasn't even close to being true. And you have Harlan Berry who comes in. Blake, you know how I am about my running backs, man. It was the same thing. I got to have at least one reliable, thick guy. And I don't need Caleb Jackson to be Leonard Fournette. I need Caleb Jackson to be Kenny Hilliard. I need Caleb Jackson to at least be Michael Ford.
You can get away with Terrence McGee.
Right. I just need you to
put your head down, go get 4 yards, and physically wear them out.
Right. And just a little bit better vision. Okay.
He's got to have better vision. He's he ain't got no instincts on him.
Yeah, and I'm telling you, the weirdest thing happened to me during this like NFL draft cycle when I started watching a lot more of these games, and some of it is just bad defense. But man, there was one running back I fell in love with.
Who's that?
Damian Martinez.
Brother, put his head down though and run you flat over. So for those that don't know, he was a running back at Miami. He's in the NFL draft. He is like teach tape for what I would put on for a college running back, both at Oregon State and Miami. That dude knows how to run. Like, he really understands the nuances of running the ball. And I think if Caleb Jackson just sat down and watched some of the things that he did, it would translate. And he's way faster than Damian Martinez, who's not, as you know, like a burner per se. Dude, you know who Caleb Jackson can be?
Who's that?
Ali Broussard. They have the same build.
The Alley Cat.
The Alley Cat. I want you got a 20 number, like do it. All right. before we get out of here, anything, last statement from you, anything on women's basketball or men's basketball?
Ooh. Yeah, as you know, Blake, women's basketball. Obviously, LSU football is always going to be my favorite. That's kind of just ingrained in me. But women's basketball gets me the most riled up, man. It gets me, dude, I freaking love it so much.
They just got out-bodied. They just got out physical from big girls. And look, I hear that, Kim about to bring it. She's about to land a big from what I hear.
Yeah,
she land a big.
So the UCLA game had one girl come off the bench, number 30. I don't remember her name. Tamia, whatever.
Williams, right?
Or it was something like that. She could not miss. It was the Jasmine Carson effect.
Yeah.
If that there's no way you can scout for that. And unless you have someone that can match that, LSU's not a 3-point shooting team. You're always just going to be behind. And then you had some bad injury luck. I will say, Morrow getting freaking blasted right in the middle of her skull and playing through it is some of the toughest shit I've ever seen.
I agree.
Dude, those are the worst head hits when you have no idea that it's about to happen and it was your own person. Man, that I just God, she's my favorite women's basketball player ever, including Simone Augustus. I don't think anybody would. I'm not saying she's the best, but she's my personal favorite. She's 6 foot and was the best rebounder in the country this year at 6 foot. It's 6 foot. That's freaking.
And look, they lost that game in the second quarter against UCLA when the big was out, and you can't score. I mean, you should have capitalized, and they couldn't.
Yeah, I'm with you.
I think here's a hot take: Kim's team next year will be more talented than this one.
Oh, I agree. I
think with some of the things they're about to get in the portal, they'll be good. All right. Hadn't seen you since like 3 Mondays ago, but you're finally back. Sorry, baseball's been kicking our ass. But you're always fantastic, buddy. Thank you for joining us.
See you, bud.
All right, that's Carter, the Power Bryant. Always fantastic. My favorite day of the week is when he joins us. All right, we're out of here with him. We'll see you tomorrow, man. Post game. Y'all have a good night.